Hello and good morning. My name is Sam Del Greco. I'm the XR lead here at Irish Manufacturing Research. Today we're in the XR lab and recording studio, and we have some interesting stuff to look at today. So we recently received these two boxes. As you can see, this is the Canon RF 5.2mm lens. Canon call this a VR lens, however it's actually just a 180-degree 3D lens. And second up we have this. This is the PhotoNeo Motion Color Cam 3D. This camera does live meshing of 3D objects, so you can literally point this camera at an object and it will generate a live mesh, which you can then use for CAD or for 3D or for VR. So yeah, this is a very exciting product that we only received this week, and I think there's only a handful of these in Europe. So yeah, we're very excited to get this out of the box and have a look. Mainly today, this first video is going to be on the PhotoNeo, well, in fact, here we go. This is the PhotoNeo MotionCam 3D Color, the medium version. And we have a development device made by PhotoNeo. And yeah, these guys make awesome equipment for machine vision and depth sensing cameras. We actually have a couple of others in the robotics lab. The guys use them for pick and place and a whole bunch of features. In fact, you can even see on the top of the box here, this is some of the stuff they do with their sensors. So robot guidance, path correction, assembly, material handling, pick and place, and quality control. So that's what PhotoNeo produce cameras wise. We won't be using the camera for any of those things because we are part of the XR team here in Irish Manufacturing Research. So we are going to be looking to see if we can use this camera to scan objects in real time to create a 3D mesh, which is exactly what this camera's purpose is for. But we're then going to see if we can take that mesh and use that in virtual reality. So the plan is we want to be able to capture real-time objects in the real world and digitize those and massively speed up that pipeline to go from real-world object to virtual asset. So that's the purpose that we're going to be looking at this lens for. I dare say we'll be loaning it to our robotics department afterwards, and they can have a play and use it for whatever the robotics guys do. I'm joking, the robotics guys do a lot of cool stuff, but they have a very different use case to us. So yeah, we'll get this unboxed and let's have a look at it. Okay, so here's the paperwork that arrived with us with the unit here. This was, if I cover all this up, you can see here, 21st of the 6th. So this literally arrived like, what's this? A couple of days ago, and this is the first chance we've had to actually do a video for it. The supplier, the people who actually gave us this lens was a company called MultiPix. We get a lot of equipment from MultiPix. They are exceptionally good for doing, well, all these types of cameras, machine vision cameras. What else do they do? Jesus, MultiPix do a whole range of equipment. I'll put a link to their website in the description and a link to the PhotoNeo as well in the description, to PhotoNeo and also to the very limited paperwork for this camera, because whilst it's officially announced, I don't think you can actually buy this yet. So there's literally a handful of these in Ireland and I think in Europe as well. So let's get it out of the box and have a look. So pull out tabs, flip this up. Okay, and that's our first glimpse of the PhotoNeo. I'll move out the way of the lighting here. So inside, just some information about the MotionCam 3D Color. So this is the early adopters program, which is great to see. Thank you very much, guys. We've been speaking to all the guys at PhotoNeo. We'll be having a big meeting with them in a couple of days where they're going to tell us exactly how to use this and plug it in and get it communicating with the PC. But yeah, it's great to see that they've actually included this, and then inside is just some information about the camera. We have, like I say, the medium. Can you read that? So yeah, this is the MotionCam. So I'll put links to all the paperwork and stuff online, but here you can get 20 frames a second out of the camera, but using the exposure setting, you can actually get 1/1000th of a second shutter speed, or 1/10,000th of a second shutter speed. So the frames per second and the shutter speed are a bit weird with these types of cameras. It's not like a traditional camera like the one we're filming on, but I'll come through all that in another video. Interesting thing here is the point size. So we should be able to get an accuracy of 0.5 millimeter, which is very, very interesting for us, because it means if we're scanning an object, we should be able to get some really nice textures out of it as well. So yeah, a bit of information about how to plug it in, where it gets warm, the volume that it can scan. Yeah, so we'll have a bit of a look through this and get the rest of the camera out of the box. So I guess let's do the boring bits first. This is, okay, so in here is a power lead, and what's this? Okay, this is the networking and power over Ethernet cable. That is a very interesting plug. I mean, you robotics guys and IoT guys have probably seen loads of these, but for a VR guy like myself, this is kind of a new plug, so that's interesting. It also has a weird ratchet thing on it as well, so that'll be interesting to get that plugged in. That's pretty cool. It's obviously some sort of locking mechanism. So that's cool. And then I think this is just normal Ethernet on this side. So let's have a look here. Pull that off. Yeah, just normal Cat5 Ethernet there, RJ45. So that's pretty cool. So that's plugs into a network port. In fact, no, it doesn't. This is our power over Ethernet adapter. So mains in at this end, using the main power cable, obviously. Mains in at this end, and then we have data, which I'm assuming goes to the PC, and then data and power, and this obviously will go to the camera. So this is a power over Ethernet injector module. So this is where you can put mains in, and you can get power over Ethernet boosted, basically, because your laptop will never have enough power, or your PC will never have enough power to send through the cable here. I actually don't know what the power requirements are for the camera, but yeah, your PC would never be able to generate enough power to power the camera. So this injects power over Ethernet into a normal network line. So that's pretty cool. If you have a PoE switch, you can maybe use that instead, but again, I'll need to double check the requirements and just make sure, well, just see the current and stuff that this thing demands as well, and the voltage. But yeah, that's very cool. So all your PoE and your connectivity stuff was in this little box. So we'll move this out of the way. And let's have a look. Hopefully, this is the camera. Cool. So pull this out of here. Remove the box. Okay. So let's move these cables to the back temporarily. So here is the camera. Ooh, get rid of that. And we'll get rid of this one as well. Okay, so this is the PhotoNeo MotionCam Color 3D Medium. Does it have a... Okay, yeah, so you can see on the back here, PhotoNeo MotionCam 3D M. Bit of ambiguity on the name here, because it's called the MotionCam Color on some of the documentation. So I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, PhotoNeo on the back here, MotionCam 3D. We have a serial number here, development 102. So I don't know if they've made 102 devices or what the starting number was, but this is our unit. And yeah, it's not particularly heavy. I'd say maybe 400 or 500 grams. Definitely weighs less than the Canon R5 and weighs less than that VR lens as well. So not too bad. There's a few different things going on here. So you have a few different lenses. This I'm assuming is the laser at this side. There's a little tiny mirror there and some diodes. I'm assuming this is a webcam. And then you have another camera at this side as well. This looks like a depth sensing camera as well on this side. Or maybe this is the receiver for the laser. But yeah, I'll go through the manual here and have a look. There's a few heat sinks and stuff on the back as well, and a load of security seals to stop us dismantling it, which obviously we won't be doing. And then on the back here is a couple of different ports. These look totally different. I don't think we'll be using that one. So let's get that covered up. And let's just double check with this cable here. So like I said, for VR guys, this is a very, very weird cable. Can you guys see that very well in the detail? It plugs in, but it seems to have then a locking sleeve which rotates around. So that's pretty cool. And there is a little pip there. I don't know if you guys can see as well. There's a little tiny square in the middle there as well, which is, I'm assuming, the locator pin. So let's just pull this back up here for a sec. So yeah, you need to make sure you get the locking pin aligned correctly. This seems to go in with this little square tab sticking down. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but there's a little tab there and there's a little cutout here. So you need to make sure those two are aligned. Locates in, and then get that screwed in. Yeah, and that has a nice little ratchet there to lock it all in place. So that's the camera connected up to the cable. We will not be connecting it to the PC in this video because there's probably a bit of an onboarding process with this particular piece of equipment. Maybe if you're coming from the robotics side of things, this would be a bit more familiar to you guys than it will be to us from the VR team. So we are going to show more information in our first look video. So this is after we spoke to the guys at PhotoNeo and the guys at MultiPix. We've onboarded the camera, we've got it hooked up to a PC, we've got the power over Ethernet hooked up, and we've got all the software, the correct versions of the software and stuff installed. One thing to note with this, because it's such a new device and because it's not officially released yet, the software is in alpha, I think. It's not even in beta testing yet. And there's a few issues with versioning and getting the right version of the software to speak to the right version of the stitching software, because there seems to be 3 different layers to this. The camera does the scanning, creates a point cloud with colors assigned to each point. That point cloud is then ported into some meshing software. The meshing software, I think, works maybe on some technology a bit like photogrammetry and feature recognition, I think. I have no idea, but I think that's probably how it works. And that converts the point cloud into a full mesh, which hopefully then that model will be easily absorbed into some CAD software, which then hopefully we can prepare it to be used in something like Unity or Unreal Engine for then displaying in virtual reality. So this camera should massively reduce the pipeline and the steps required to actually take a real world object. Use this as an example. This is a fairly simple object, but if you wanted to get this accurately modeled and into virtual reality, you would need a designer, you would need someone who's familiar with CAD, you'd need to take a whole bunch of measurements and stuff, and then yeah, you could then obviously build a CAD model for this. Hopefully this camera here will massively reduce that burden and massively reduce that effort required. And we should just be able to scan this object, and then hopefully we'll get a mesh straight out of there, which we should be able to use in virtual reality. So thank you very much for your time. That's our plan with this piece of equipment. Thanks once again to the guys at PhotoNeo and also to the guys at MultiPix. If it wasn't for you guys, we probably wouldn't have had this camera for several months. Definitely cool for us to be one of the first people in Europe to get our hands on this. We'll be posting another video maybe in a week or 2, which will be our first look and getting the camera hooked up and getting all the right software versions and things and getting everything talking to each other, and we'll show you some output scans as well. So thanks once again for your time, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the video. We hope this camera is as interesting to you guys as it is to us. And yeah, we will see you in a future video. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.